Great. I call this meeting to order. The board secretary will now call the roll.
Chair Mejia,
Here.
Vice Chair Sutton, Secretary Treasurer Nyarbe,
Here.
Director Almeida,
Here.
Director Angeles,
Present.
Director Kemp, Director Rawlings. Director Sutton, Kemp, and Rawlings have been excused. We have a quorum.
All righty. Thank you so much, Jen. Now, LBT will present the July 2025 Employees of the Month.
All right. Good afternoon, Chair Mejia, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and all others assembled here today. I am Adebi Ojuduku, Human Resources Manager. In support of LBT's strategic priority of fostering employee engagement, it is my pleasure to acknowledge the Employees of the Month for July 2025. The Employees of the Month for July 2025 are Vandala Whitehead, Marlon Perez, and James Ty. Operator Vandala Whitehead has been with LBT for 11 years, and this is her first Employee of the Month nomination. She is currently assigned to LBT2 and comes to work with a great attitude, greeting her coworkers and customers with a smile. She is currently working as an extra board operator, a role in which she proactively ensures service is covered. Operator Whitehead demonstrates her professionalism through her performance, arriving and departing on time every day. Her positivity and work ethic make her an excellent member of the LBT team. Mechanic Marlon Perez, who works at LBT1, has been with LBT for 27 years, and this is his 7th Employee of the Month nomination. His supervisors commend him on his positive attitude and strong work ethic. Marlon ensures buses are serviced thoroughly and ready for reliable service each day, taking pride in his work and sharing knowledge with his coworkers. He encourages his team and sets a good example by going the extra mile. James Ty serves as the executive assistant to the deputy CEO, and this is his 3rd Employee of the Month nomination. He joined LBT in 2018 as the administrative assistant to the finance and budget department and was promoted to his current role in 2023. James handles all matters related to LBT's corporate office with prompt responsiveness and attention to detail. He begins each day with a walkthrough of the building to ensure facilities are safe and clean for LBT staff and other tenants, proactively addressing any incidents that may arise. In his duties, he approaches all of his tasks with a sense of ownership and is dedicated to supporting his coworkers. In addition to his daily tasks, James also contributes to the agency by being a member of the Employee Engagement Committee and participating regularly in safety blitzes. James demonstrates his commitment to LBT's internal customers through his level of care, dependability, and professionalism. It is my pleasure to now present these valuable members of the Long Beach Transit team via video.
My name is Rhonda Whitehead. I've been working here at Long Beach Transit for 11 years now, and I'm currently an operator here. My favorite part of working here at Long Beach Transit is driving around to different cities and meeting new people. I'm very grateful of being Employee of the Month.
Hello, my name is Marlon Perez. I've been with the company for 28 years. I'm a mechanic. My favorite part of working for Long Beach Transit is when you're troubleshooting and you find a problem, and it's rewarding. I'm grateful and honored to be chosen Employee of the Month. I'd like to thank the supervisors.
James Ty, the executive assistant to the deputy CEO, and I've been here for 7 years. My favorite part about working at LBT is the people, making sure everybody has a safe environment and making sure the facilities, especially at the LBT CEO, are always clean, comfortable, and all staff have the resources that they may need. I feel a great honor and privilege to be employed. I just want to thank everybody for all their support. I want to thank the deputy CEO for nominating me, and I look forward to LBT's future.
At this time, I would like to invite all employees of the month for July that are present to stand and be recognized. Thank you to all of the employees of the month for being dedicated to connecting communities, moving people, making everyday life better. We appreciate all those who serve our communities, especially our own outstanding team members.
Thank you so much. Are there any public comment? Seeing none. Is there any discussion from the board? No. Well, thank you so much. And moving on to public comment. At this time, I invite members of the public who want to address the board on any matters that does not appear on the agenda and is within the board's jurisdiction. If you have not done so already, I ask you to submit a speaker card to the board secretary.
Sure, we have a public commenter?
Okay, perfect. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, directors. My name is Mauro Varela. I am the Vice President of ATU 1277, Assistant Business Agent. And I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I haven't been here in a while, so I wanted to make sure that the directors and the staff knew exactly who we are. So hopefully you guys get to see this not so beautiful face a lot more often. So thank you very much. I yield my time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there any additional public comment? Seeing none, all right. Going on now to Ken McDonald, will present the CEO and President report.
Good afternoon, Chair Mahia, members of the board, and all who are assembled here today. I am Kenneth McDonald, President and CEO at Long Beach Transit. My monthly agency report will highlight some of the accomplishments and ongoing activities centered around our strategic priorities. As I've often stated, our strategic priorities are improve safety and service quality, exercise financial accountability, foster employee engagement, enhance customer experience, and promote community and industry focus. Before I get started in what I had prepared for my board report, I want to give an update on an incident that occurred this morning at 4:49 a.m. A maintenance supervisor observed smoke coming from the top of one of our battery electric coaches, coach number 16027. The shop requested fire department assistant, and the fire department came around 4:50, somewhere in there. They arrived around 4:55 and began looking, and they had smoke coming off at the top of the bus. And there was no fire at the time, but there was smoke arising from the bus. As they inspected the bus, they found that something was wrong. We have 7 battery packs on a bus. One of the battery packs was overheating. We don't know why it had thermal runaway, but the fire department began around 9:15, started dousing the coach with water, as is recommended, to keep the enclosure cool, so that we can not have the other enclosure affected by this event. This went on for about 3 hours, and around 12 o'clock, we were able to turn the water off and check the temperature of the enclosure, and the enclosure temperature had dropped. Hazmat and a number of other parts of the fire department were there. We began removing the enclosure, and somewhere around 1:30, close to 2 o'clock, the enclosure was removed from that vehicle. And as the practice is that you put it in a container of water. When I say a container of water, this is a large dumpster that we have, that this box is 7 feet by 3 feet wide and tall. Put it in the box, and it's sitting in there right now as we try to find out from the manufacturer and do into a deep dive of why this occurred. We have never had this happen. This bus has been with us for 3 years, and we have never had any thermal incidences, but there have been thermal incidences in different parts of the country. So as of 2:30 p.m. today, the area is secured, and we continue to try to determine with New Flyer why we had this thermal incident this morning. With that, I will go into the rest of my, and if there are any questions right now about that specific incident, I probably should take that and then go into the rest of my,
Sure. So it looks like Director Narve, Director Angela.
Thanks, Ken. I just wanted to ask a quick question. Was anyone hurt?
No, the bus was not in service. The bus was, charged the buses and put them, that bus was not intended to go into service today. So I should have mentioned that there was no incident of any employee or any other buses. We move all the other buses, which is the practice, all the other buses away from that specific bus. So we had no other incident but that specific unit.
Ken, I'll just share with you, when I was at LAWA at LAX, we had ordered some buses similar. This is about a few years back, and similar instant combustion that occurred there. And in fact, it caught the other buses, if you remember that. And and those buses were relatively brand new when we bought them when I was working at LAWA. So just a forewarning that maybe might consider a fire watch of some sort. If it happens to one, the potential could happen to others. And if blessed that it didn't catch all the other buses if it was distance enough, but that LAWA at LAX it actually did. And that's when they took out all of those buses that we had bought and replaced them with like Metro buses, because that was before they started the Lyft and the Uber TNC lot is what they were designed to do. I just wanted to share that as anecdote that potentially, hopefully, maybe there's some fire watch so we can be cognizant of.
We have a standard operating procedure that if we see something like this, the first thing is to get the bus out of if it's in the facility, this bus was out in the yard, but any buses in the, let's say 15, 20 feet away from it, try to move them out. And we did that at about 5:31. All of the buses were removed from around that bus, and then we continued. But I want to publicly state my appreciation to the chief, the deputy chief of the port, who came out there, and we talked about it because the port is doing a lot of battery electric vehicles, and he came out because we have never had one of that in Long Beach, so he wanted to. Together, we were learning on what do we do if something like this continues. If we were to have another event, his name was Jim Underwood, and then the battalion chief, Chris Schultz. They both, I thought, were wonderful in terms of us having the first incident at Long Beach Transit and their ability to help us, and the hazmat crew that came out and make sure we had no employees even getting affected by the smoke. There was, we at one point had to make sure we're in the neighborhood, but we never got to the point where we had to go to the neighborhood and tell them that something, we got it back. So just want to, and for the people, the employees who were there, I will be sending out the letters to all of them, and for their great work, because this started at 4 o'clock in the morning. It didn't end until 30 this afternoon. So they were there all day trying to get this under control and looking at the best interest of the organization. With that, I can, no other question.
Director Rawlings.
Thank you. I have one more, Ken, if that's okay. I just wanted to clarify. You said there were or there were not other incidents around the country with the same manufacturer?
There have been.
There are.
There have been incidences, and there have been buses that burned to the ground. We're very fortunate this bus did not catch on fire.
Yeah.
But there have been incidents across and other parts.
Have we asked our partner or manufacturer who we got it from kind of what their plans are to address? I mean, look, it's a battery. Unfortunately, these things happen, and thankfully, it seems like it's pretty rare overall. Obviously, I don't think there should be a major concern about obviously electric buses not being the future because of some incidents, but we should know, like, from the manufacturer that they have a responsibility to a certain extent.
They will be coming out here Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So I spoke with them. We were on a conference call while this was on. I got on a conference call with their leadership for what was going on. We are going to have a meeting first, and then Monday or Tuesday.
That's great.
And their folks.
Okay, thank you.
Because they have to cut to the bottom of why this happened.
One more question, Ken, do you plan to to release a PR or some sort of statement so that the community doesn't feel like, our buses are dangerous? Or they're at risk?
Don't know that we have any risk. I was not planning to, there have been quite media questions, but if you were where the event happened, we had to block off the street. Police had the whole area blocked off, so there have been some media inquiry that we answered what we were doing about what happened there. We had some thermal runaway. In terms of being able to say what happened, I don't know at this point what to, um, but I will get with our answer. But we had inquiries for what was going on. Is the complete area blocked off.
Director.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your report. I would strongly recommend that, especially, I mean, sort of as a general response from a PR perspective, it's better to be ahead of these things instead of responding to them, especially given, you know, what we've experienced since our last board meeting from a publicly discussed item and how that transpired in the media. I would strongly recommend that staff be directed to draft a statement that reflects what you've just said here so that we are able to properly inform the public about what happened.
Any more questions? I do have one question. I know that you mentioned that they're coming on Monday or Tuesday. Do you know how long the application is gonna take or?
We have to leave that battery in the water for 6 days to make sure that it's totally dead. That's what happens. You put it in the it's in an enclosure right now engulfed in the water, and they will come in and they will start that deep dive into what occurred.
And then Director Angela.
Again, sharing with you the experience that I had at LAWA, I would highly recommend that you preserve the evidence with respect to the items itself, you know, and then at the same time to make sure that our insurance carriers are also informed as it relates to that, simply because they'll have an interest in making sure that it's not only the manufacturers just looking at it.
Yeah, and we've been through things like this, so we know that whenever it happens, we make sure you don't move the bus. We put the yellow tape around it and keep it there until they catch it. We keep all the evidence we have for what.
Then Director Kemp.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up and say that, you know, as a board member, I'm certainly left, things happen, but I'm certainly left with a level of comfort that, you know, this was handled excellently by everyone within the organization, and I feel safe. And I just want to make sure that by staying ahead of this with our message, that the public also feels as safe as we do as board members. To your response, to your excellent response.
Yep.
Any more? All right, go ahead.
To make the other things look like this month, the Environmental Health and Safety Department held its second annual Safety Blitz summer event featuring health, heat, safety awareness. The event pictured on this slide was held at the Long Beach Transit Gallery and served not only as a safety initiative, but also as an entertaining way to kick off the summer and show appreciation for a dedicated operator. To promote heat safety awareness, staff provided a one-page heat awareness handout, cooling towels, steel water bottles, electrolyte hydration package, and cold water to help everyone stay cool and hydrated. In the agency's effort to promote community and industry focus, staff has participated in various community events this month. The Bay Tower Senior Presentation, the Plymouth West Senior Presentation, LGBTQ Center Long Beach Seniors Group Presentation that we where we talk about reduced fare tap cards and riding Long Beach Transit and how to ride Long Beach Transit safely. Earlier this week, can you go to the next one? Earlier this week, board member Abigail Mejia, Raul Nave, Eddie Angeles, and board secretary Jen Flores attended the American Public Transportation Association Transit Board Members and Administrators Seminar, or the annual seminar, in Kansas City, Missouri. APTA's transit board members and board administrators come together annually for peer exchange and professional development on board governance and policy development for public transportation agency. Topics this year included federal, local, and regional funding, ensuring public and employee safety and security, preparing for large and mega events, board and CEO relationship, ADA, procurement, and transit development. At this time, I would like to call on anyone and the attendees who would like to share their input from the seminar to give them an update.
No, you can-
It was really an honor to represent. This is my first APTA meeting actually, and so I learned a lot about the organization and the work that they do in terms of advocacy in Washington D.C. and just everywhere around the country. It was great to not only bond with my fellow board members in terms of issues that we were dealing with, issues that we raised that we effectively are dealing with here. But I will share with the group that one of two things. One is the good news is I believe that the sort of the lobbyist group from Washington indicated and shared with the folks in terms of funding that it looked as if with the big beautiful bill that transit has actually done relatively well still in this administration and to 2025 and looking forward to 2026. So it hasn't had sort of the impact that a lot of people were bracing for in terms of federal funding from FTA and USDOT. So that was the good news that was shared, I think, with us as transit board members. And then I will just close with this. I had the privilege and honor of actually observing our own Jen of Flores, who gave this excellent presentation on the last day. I should have sent you the picture of Jen so you could have seen it. But she is highly regarded among the administrators in the country and as part of APTA. We should be honestly heartily proud of the leadership role that she has taken in the organization. And for some reason, everybody liked her. So it was everywhere I went, I was like, "Oh, you're with Jen? Yeah, I have a name too, but I was with Jen." So that was my identity throughout the conference. And so, she gave this excellent presentation on PI, which is in my world, personal injury, but in her world is different. An excellent presentation and really enjoyed the time and valued the experience as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ken. I was grateful for the opportunity to attend another APTA conference, and I agree with my colleague. I sat in on Jen's training in San Jose, and I shared that experience with you all. She did a remarkable job. I couldn't attend her training this time, but I believe Eddie when he says that. I'm not going to read off the topics because Ken pretty much read them off what I was going to share, but I will say something that he didn't mention or my colleague mentioned is that one of the major topics was preparing for large scale events. Specifically, we're talking about the World Cup, we were talking about the Olympics, and it was a great focus on the three major cities, Dallas, Los Angeles, of course, Long Beach, and I forgot the other city. Huh? Oh, in Kansas City. And the bottom line is, Ken, money. Yes. They don't fear the capital, they fear more the operational of everything. So, and also Stephanie wants you to pay for the water taxis. Yeah, and we got to meet Stephanie as well. The hotel was actually really, really nice. It was right across the street from the beautiful Performing Arts Center. It's huge dome, just amazing. And then also we had the opportunity to visit the city's Union Station, also very beautiful. Again, critical conference. Definitely shows the importance of the roles that boards play in these agencies. And again, very grateful to have attended. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Yeah, it was an amazing conference. It's every time you're surrounded by other transit agencies, you're able to learn about different things that they're doing. One of the things that a couple of transit agencies have done is, a kind of like a state of the city, but about transit, right? Like they're really highlighting what the transit agency has done. We taught a big thing was the Olympics. Um, you know, money is going to be needed, but also I didn't realize that, we get buses throughout the country to participate because there's not enough buses for this large scale event. So I thought that was very interesting. We also had an opportunity to learn about, expectations as a board member and how do you um, work with staff. So I felt like that was very good session. So I think there's a lot of exciting things, especially in the United States, as we enter a large scale event. So we're very excited to have met personally Stephanie, the CEO of Metro. So I think, that partnership is going to be key. So very excited to have been there and been able to experience that. All I got.
Yeah, I did want to recognize that Lee was also he didn't make the picture because he was out there working, but he did ask for more boats from everybody, which everybody said, "You guys run boats too?" But he did make the plea to the country.
Just one more thing, and I think it's important, especially with what's been happening. I did stand up in the first session and I asked the legislative agent who works with APTA and DC if there were or have been or any rumor about having conversations if public transit agencies interrupt or interfere with any immigration law enforcement. And the gentleman said he has not heard of anything. He's aware that immigration is a top priority for the administration, but in terms of consequences for public transit agencies, he does not know of, he has not heard of, and that was it, because it seemed to be an elephant in the room. No one was talking about it, and so I'm glad to report that that's what we heard. I know we can't rely just on that. We need to be ahead of everything, but that was good news.
So I would add to that. On April 25th, 24th, I sent this copy of this to every board member. It's a letter from Secretary Duffy about what will happen. And I'll send it out again because it seems that this has been lost in the shuffle of what's going on. It was very clear about what to expect if we had a transit agency that did not work with federal law enforcement. So I would send this out again. I did send it out to all board members. It was sent out to him on April 24th, 2025. So I know after has it. It will be signed by Duffy. It sent it to every CEO. It was specifically sent. The name were included when it was sent out. So I will highlight this and send it back out to the board against what we had. In addition, it talks about your legal obligation, cooperation generally with federal authorities and the enforcement of federal law, including cooperation with not impeding U.S. immigration and customs enforcement, and the impact that would have on. This was sent out when I got it, so I was there and have a discussion about it. I'm surprised that he said that we didn't have something because every single CEO in the country got transit CEO got this letter.
So I think
Yeah.
one of the things sorry to interrupt Ken, but I think when he mentioned that he said, the most cities have been targeted, right? Particularly cities, like there's already a list going that the administration had. So that's what he mentioned. At that.
I will share the letter that I got so that we all have it in terms of what Sean does. Finally, I want to go back to the each year we have a CEO forum that we that CEOs get together So the weekend of July 12th, I attended the CEO forum with 40 other CEOs from across the country. And we get together to discuss the challenges in today's work environment. This year, the topic was same thing like the board, funding uncertainty, the federal immigration action, workforce and succession planning, technology modernization, inclusive leadership, and CEO health and wellness, which is something that is not discussed a lot across in terms of what happened, but I spent a lot of time talking about where do CEOs go for health and wellness for your, in these stressful jobs that you have, where do you go for the CEO's health and wellness? We always talk about employees' health and wellness, but there's never really a forum that discusses CEOs' health and wellness. With that, that concludes my report for this month. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ken. All right, is there any discussion from the board? We had. All righty, seeing none, thank you so much, Ken. And then we're moving on to, now Ken McDonald will present agenda item 6.
Okay. So, agenda item 6 is an update on the guidance memo that was sent out to employees on July 14, 2025. On June 23rd, 2025, I, as president and CEO at Long Beach Transit, issued an internal memorandum outlining procedures to follow if an active LBT employee is confronted by federal immigration and custom enforcement agents attempting to access LBT's non-public facilities and or areas. The internal memo specifically focused on LBT's restricted areas and provided resources that are available to our employees. Subsequently, I was informed that the internal memo was shared on social media and featured in a newspaper article. Further to the point, I learned that the memo had drawn attention in the community and has raised concerns and uncertainty regarding its intent. On July 8, 2025, Long Beach Mayor Rex Richardson sent a letter to my attention and that of the board chair, urging LBT to take key actions to address concerns that arose from the community as it related to the media coverage. A second letter was received from the vice mayor expressing similar sentiments. On that same day, I issued a statement acknowledging the confusion surrounding my June 23rd memo and shared that at LBT, our mission, connecting communities and moving people to make everyday life better, underscores our commitment to delivering safe, reliable, and customer-focused service. I am proud to have signed on to the Long Beach Values Act and stand in solidarity with our city's partners and community that we serve. To address the misinterpretation of my memo and allay the fears and concerns from the city leadership and board members, a revised internal memo was issued on July 14, 2025, providing updated guidance to employees. These updated guidelines outline to staff how to appropriately respond if approached by federal agents, whether at LBT facilities or on board LBT buses, while at the same time prioritizing employee safety and the well-being of LBT customers. The updated employee guidance was developed in alignment with the City of Long Beach protocols, incorporated input from legal counsel and LBT's leadership, reflected the principles of LBT's Values Act, and ensured compliance with all applicable federal, state, and local laws. Additionally, the guidance included employees' resources such as the Employee Assistance Program, or EAP, to reiterate internal resources available to LBT staff. Prior to the release of the revised memo, an internal session was held on Monday, July 14th, and at which more than 60 team members participated, those who had direct managerial and supervisory responsibility for LBT's frontline employees and to whom the information must be shared and distributed. The session reviewed the content of the revised memo, provided examples of what employees should and should not do, and addressed participants' questions and concerns prior to the memos released later that day. The session was led jointly by the CEO, the DCEO, and internal and external legal counsel. Moreover, in LBT's continuing effort to support our employees and customers, on Friday, July 11th, the agency placed multilingual Take One handouts on all our buses. These Take Ones explain individual rights under the Long Beach Values Act. As of Monday, July 14th, similar information was shared at over 100 high traffic bus stops, in the transit gallery, and on LBT's website and social media channel. I want to make clear that to date, LBT has not seen, heard, or experienced any enforcement action by federal agents at our facilities or on our buses. These efforts I mentioned reflect my commitment to ensuring customers receive consistent, accurate, and accessible information across all channels to reinforce LBT's message of inclusion and safety. As we all know, LBT's commitment to our mission means that every person, regardless of where they are from, what language they speak, or their immigration status, deserve to feel safe and secure and respected when they operate or use public transportation. And as public servants, each of us play a vital role in keeping our employees and community connected, supported, and informed. I recognize that many of our customers are feeling nervous and anxious right now. They depend on us, not just for transportation, but for normalcy in their daily lives. When we show up with compassion and professionalism, we are not just doing our jobs, we are providing a lifeline to people who need it the most to survive. In closing, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the dedicated employees throughout the agency who work tirelessly to deliver the high quality transit services that define LBT's national reputation. Thanks to your continued selfless service and support in delivering safe, reliable, and inclusive transportation to our customers. I know that you put forth great effort to ensure LBT is the best transit agency it can be. One final note, the item referenced in this report has been forwarded to each board member by the board secretary over the last few weeks. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any public comments? All right, thank you so much. Discussion from the board.
I do appreciate basically Commissioner Rowe basically bringing that up at the meeting in Kansas City. Just as an add-on, there was a comment by the governmental affairs person who works for APTA, who says that this is sort of on their regular radar nationally, and that they meet regularly with council's office and them talking about this topic and this issue, and just to encourage you, Ken, or staff to basically making sure that we're in the loop of whatever it is that they come up with as positions and solutions.
So I would add to that. Yesterday I was called and I was selected to get on the APTA board of directors beginning in next month. So I would be involved in those conversations every month when they have discussions. So I applied to be on the board because of what's expected yesterday. I got a call last night telling me that I am now a member of the APTA board of directors.
All right. Any additional, Director Amada?
Yeah, no, I just want to say, I appreciate the statement right now and everything that the team has done to kind of rectify the issue that folks felt. I just really feel like it should have been done initially. I want to say that from the board perspective, it all seems completely right. It just seems like something that should have been laid out before that first memo went out. But those all seem like the right steps, 100%. So I do appreciate you sharing that. My question, I guess, is on the signage that has gone up. Have we received any feedback on, is that helpful? And I don't even know if this is possible, but trying to gauge the impact of ridership on that. I don't know if we've heard more or if staff maybe have additional information, but I know that was a lot of fear during that reporting, and I'm sure that there are a lot of riders who use our transit to get to essential jobs. And I just wonder if there's any way for us to kind of measure that impact.
So we do a weekly, first and foremost, I want to say that, yes, this was brought to me and I met with the mayor and told him I took full responsibility. I did not see an internal memo as that being, and in hindsight, yes, I could have done something differently. That's why I did what we did later on. In terms of the information, the information that is presented is the same. I took all of the information from the city and provide the city's information to our customers. So it's nothing different from what has been out there before. I got with the city manager and took their information, put it on our system, so that we would stay in coordination of what was been going on. But I want last thing, the question that you asked. Yes, we look at our ridership each week. We look at the ridership and what's going on. So we haven't seen we saw a 3 or 4% drop last month or last week when Lisa talked to me about it. But this week I haven't looked at it yet, so where we are. But we haven't seen it. I wouldn't say that we have seen something that is impactful on our
Any other director? Oh, Director Norville.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Cam, for the presentation. While I appreciate the updated employee and the alignment of with city protocols and legal counsel, I hope all will join me in acknowledging the serious challenges our immigrant community and employees are facing in light of the ongoing federal raids. This is a real world context situation we're operating in today. With that said, and school session slowly approaching, I just want to make a few points and constructive comments moving forward. The timeliness of the response, we need faster communication protocols during a crisis. Employee impact and morale. Personally, I regret any stress or confusion employees, especially those from immigrant communities, may have experienced. Training and support, informational sessions, the Long Beach Values Act, EAP resources, especially mental health, are helpful, but they all felt reactive. I encourage ongoing training, proactive engagement, and more visible promotion of available resources. Outreach and trust. The multilingual handouts were a great step, but I'd like to see LBT engage more directly with immigrant communities and advocacy groups moving forward. Can we also remind managers and supervisors to let their employees know that these handouts are available and to hand them out as soon as possible? Legal considerations. LBT should continue developing contingency plans in case of increased federal enforcement activity. I also urge us all to work more closely with immigrant rights organizations that have deep experience on the ground. For the future, the situation isn't going away anytime soon. I hope we all reflect on lessons learned and apply them in future response efforts. Also, future communications where oversight and guidance also need to improve between you, Ken, and the board. I realize the lines of responsibility can become blurred at times, but this only highlights the importance of communication. I pause because this is really important. I want to begin by thanking Chair Mejia for bringing this item forward. Honestly, I didn't expect we would even have the opportunity to discuss this issue in public setting. That in of itself is concerning, and I believe it should be for the rest of the board as well. It's because of the chair's persistence and follow through that we are able to have this important conversation today. It should not be a tug of war. It should not be a back and forth for the chair or any board member to bring forward a serious issue that affects transit operations and the well-being of our riders. We should be fostering an environment where critical topics are addressed transparently, collaboratively, and without delay. Every month when I enter this boardroom, I can't help but to reflect on the photo of Rosa Parks that hangs on this very boardroom wall. Her courage on a public bus was just not an act of resistance. It was a call to leadership and conscience. If we honor her legacy, we must also be willing to confront uncomfortable situations and ensure this board remains a space where voices are heard and swift action follows principle. With that, I welcome any comments or feedback from the board or Ken. Thank you.
Any additional? Yes, Director.
I mean, thank you, Director. There's certainly no way I'm gonna be able to follow that. Thank you for sharing a lot of that. I think not to speak on behalf of all of the board, of course, but definitely for me and the fellow directors we've talked to, I think we share a lot of your sentiments. I think we very much understand the extremely difficult situation that the community and also Long Beach Transit as an organization is in right now. That's really easy to fall into the mindset of focusing on what we can control, which is only so much, unfortunately. And so there are moments where you can say, well, this hasn't happened, and therefore it's not our job to concern ourselves with the what if and with the fear, but that's how these things work. And we've seen that time and time again in history. And while it's not necessarily our place to become an advocacy organization, it is our place to make sure that we're standing up with our mission and our bottom line, what we provide for the community. And so managing the fear of our riders, regardless of what actually is the case that we've seen on the ground, as an example thus far, thankfully not having any official reports of activity, right? That still is our job to manage that fear and to talk about that. And I think the best, most appropriate way we can do that is, as our fellow directors have said, is just to be as proactive as possible with people and making sure that we're going out and sharing what we can do with the community repeatedly over and over and over, and never letting that conversation just fade in the background. So, thank you.
Any additional feedback from the board? Yes, Director Ken.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a clarifying question. The multiple language information for our writers, was that distributed as a handout only, or is it a different way that our writers can access that information? At what? Is your mic on? Can you turn your mic on?
Yeah, it's on the website. It's on our social media at our transit visitors, and where you buy tickets downtown, get it there. They are available in different languages.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to move that we direct the CEO to have staff create signage inside the buses in multiple languages, branded with LBT branding that offers them the same information that would otherwise be available in the handout at a minimum in English, Spanish, and Khmer. I would also like to include in this motion that that same signage be placed internally within LBT facilities at the director's discretion where he feels those would be most useful.
What information is? I'm not quite clear. I understand what information, but
Do you want additional signage? Is that
Yes,
okay?
that's the motion. Council.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is an information item. Certainly, I would recommend that the board, if so inclined, provide direction to CEO or staff along those lines, but it's not a agendized action item. So what that means is the public hasn't had an opportunity to know about consider or show up for what you're proposing by way of your motion. So, but certainly, offline or at this public meeting, it's not uncommon for board members to say, these are the things, it's usually on the agenda item, board member request CEO, staff members who report to the CEO to do X, Y, Z. That would be the way that I would recommend it instead of I would.
Thank you. I appreciate that advice, council. However, it's been my experience that in the time that I've been here, that some of these informal processes, though consistent with past practice, don't afford directors the ability to offer direction. It's also been my experience that with this specific past incident, it doesn't afford the CEO or the directors an opportunity to address issues in a way that allow them to be resolved both publicly and efficiently. I think the way that the CEO has gone about addressing this and responding and reacting to this is a good step. And I think that, given all the circumstances, I don't have any specific criticism for that. However, I would like this to be a motion, and if it can't be a motion directing the CEO to do that this meeting, that it be on the agenda for next meeting so that we can begin to practice being directors of this board.
That sounds good with me unless Vince, do you have anything else to add?
No, I would suggest again,
Uh-huh.
a request to agendize this item next meeting would be an appropriate response, or again, as I suggested, that often there's an agenda item on many agendas, request for information from board members or council, whatever, and it's at that time that elected or appointed official ask either the staff or the CEO or whoever it is for either an item, something be brought back on an agenda that the board wants to take up.
Understood, and thank you, and I appreciate that. And I would just ask that staff review the record of this and craft the motion based on what I've said thus far. Happy to be available to help with that if you need it, but I would like to see it as a motion for the next meeting. Now, on a personal note, as it relates to this issue, I can hear the pain in Director Anorve's voice. I can tell you that personally, I share that pain. I have members of my family who are impacted by ICE raids and are living in fear despite the fact that they are United States citizens. I know that in my other role, we have a population that is above the majority of constituents that we serve. And our efforts reflect a sensitivity, not only because of that majority, but because of their individual importance as members of our institutional family. I assume that that is the administration's perspective here, but it's certainly my perspective as a member of this board and as a director of this board, that the population that we serve reflect the same population that is being targeted. And therefore, I believe we have a responsibility to provide them with information that does not risk liability for the institution, but also reflects and demonstrates to them that we care. And therefore, that is why I believe we need to brand it. Again, this particular issue unfolded on Facebook. I saw it. I reached out to staff. I said, this might be an issue. And lo and behold, I earned my blue check mark as a public relations professional. It turned into an issue. Here we are. So I just think, to the earlier point that Director Anorve made, more seamless, efficient, and effective communication that allows us to execute in a way that ties a knot in any hose that might otherwise, get out of control. in addition to this motion that I'm asking be placed on the agenda, would be great. And I have every confidence that this institution, with this board, this executive director, our effective council, and all of the effective staff that reflect the community we serve will rise to the occasion and continue to provide great service for our riders.
Thank you, Director Kemp. Anybody else? Yeah, I just want to also say a few words. I know that Ken and I have been in a lot of conversations about this, and I think the fear is very real in every aspect, right? In my professional role, I get to help represent 15 other cities, and there's ICE presence every single day. And although we're figuring it out, when we met with the mayor, he says there isn't a guidebook on how to deal with this, but we do need to stand up. And I see the fear every day. ICE was just here in North Long Beach. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And we do have a responsibility, absolutely, to protect our employees, but also to protect our riders. And so I'm very grateful for the board of directors here who we've had numerous conversations individually, just to discuss this, because we know the number of community members that called me crying, saying how much they love Long Beach Transit and how disappointed they were. Elected officials that I talked to, chiefs of staff that were disappointed on how this all unfolded. But we have the opportunity now to make it better. We have an opportunity to stand up. And so I do have a question. Ken, I know that you mentioned for the resource, the little pocket guide that we have, is that in all of our buses? Like, because I am also thinking, like, we serve so many other cities. I want to make sure that those cities also have those resources.
All the information that we put out on all our buses, we make sure that we put it on all our buses. And I too would like to say something, because I feel like this has become that there is a guidebook that I should have followed and should have taken the pages out of those guidebooks. No one has a guidebook on how to deal with the immigration issue. Yes, we could have dealt with it. I fully take full responsibility for that. That I put out an internal memo when this came out. It was a memo that just was giving internal employees who were not on the buses give clear direction on a bus. If an operator has an issue, you call the dispatch office. That's standard. If it's a fare dispute, anybody getting on the bus, you call the dispatch. The folks that are in the yard didn't have a guidance on what happens if they encounter an event. So this was all about helping them to, what do you do? Then you call dispatch, you call your supervisor, and it became an issue now that I didn't follow a guidebook. And I feel flabbergasted by that, because we did the best we can to give our employees the resources to help them. And so I will continue to do that, to give them the resources and to take the protection. Why we say call dispatch? Because then we can send some skilled person to help with the customers or to help the employee. So that is a standard practice in Long Beach Transit. I always feel like I'm hearing here that I wasn't or we weren't doing that. And I'm flabbergasted by that. I will continue to do what I do as a CEO, to look at the best interests of this organization and how do we protect our employees and the customers, right? That's my dedicated responsibility, and I will continue to uphold that.
With all due respect, CEO, I think the reality is that we were here last month with 2 public comments. Board of directors saw it on social media. It took a week, maybe 2 weeks for us to respond. And it wasn't because you were aware about it being on Facebook. It was because there was 2 articles that were, an article that came out that was a little bit misleading, but it caused a lot of fear. But we could have handled the situation earlier, right? And so I think that's what we're telling you is that if we know that there is this fear and we know that this can be an issue, then let's do something about it. Let's not wait for the article. Let's hit it before, like, let's tackle it before it gets there. Because if we had a statement way before, it would have been different. Anything else? Sorry, Director.
I appreciate everybody's comments, and I'll reserve my response for, when we're not behind the dais. But I will say that no one has a crystal ball. Professionals like all of us are expected to foresee and sort of skate ahead of the puck, as Wayne Gretzky would say. And nobody does that 100% all the time. I don't think that there is a lot of value in driving down the road looking in the rearview mirror. But I do think it's important that we use this opportunity to respond in a way that demonstrates that we not only understand what we could have done better, but to go beyond that in a way that demonstrates that we understand fully the impact on our writers and our institution, and that we go above and beyond and use this opportunity to be thoughtful and maybe polish up our crystal ball so that the fingerprint doesn't get in the way of something that we might otherwise have seen, so that we can respond to it in a way that doesn't find us here, a few months later trying to clean up something else. And we may, but I think the opportunity that we're presented with here, that you're presented with, Mr. CEO, that we're presented with, board members, that staff is presented with, is an opportunity to reflect on how we can do something, whether it's putting static, semi-permanent, like with, JG Wentworth signs or whatever is on the inside of the bus. Well, you ride them more than I do. Something that is in multiple languages, something that is not going to be thrown on the floor or forgotten or lost in a car, something that is inside the bus where our target audience is for marketing, that they can read in their own language, and from that gather that we care and understand, that they can look at, hit a QR code, and go to our website where there's a more exhaustive pool of resources for them to use. And whatever else, we may not come up with here on the fly behind the rail. This doesn't mean anybody's, bad or wrong or being attacked or should know everything, but this is an opportunity for us to pivot and do more. And that is my hope.
Great, thank you, Director Kemp, and we'll work on that motion that for the next meeting. Is there any closing comments before we head on to the next agenda? And what I meant to say was that there is no, when we met with the mayor, there is no handbook on this. We're all learning as we go. So thank you so much, and then we'll go on to the next item. Now we move on to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are considered routine by LBT Board of Directors and will enact by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the Board of Directors or the public so requests, in which the event matter shall be removed from the consent calendar and be considered as a separate item. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. Okay.
Chair Mejia,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sutton, Secretary Treasurer Narve,
Aye.
Director Almeida.
Aye.
Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp,
Aye.
Director Rawlings.
Aye.
Director Sutton has been excused.
Great. Is there any discussion from the board?
I'm sorry, there's no discussion on consent
Oh,
calendar.
sorry. The motion carries. The consent calendar is approved. Now, moving on to agenda item 8, monthly financial report presented by Lisa Patton.
Good afternoon, Chair Mejia, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and everyone assembled here today. My name is Lisa Patton, and I'm the Executive Director and Vice President of Finance and Budget. And I'm before you today to present the preliminary monthly financial report for the period of July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Just a quick note for transparency. During our quality control process, we identified and corrected an error on the balance sheet in the preliminary financial report, which affected two numbers from fiscal year 24. The totals were accurate. The issue has been fixed and the corrected version was provided to the board. So overall, fiscal year 25 ended on budget with total revenue at 100% of plan and total operating expenses aligning with budget. The statement of revenue and expenses gives us a broad view of how much LBT has earned and spent during the fiscal year. At the top of the report is the operating revenue, and operating revenue is the revenue that LBT directly generates. The columns on the right side of the page give us our year-to-date totals. And as you can see, operating revenue has trended favorably above budget in fiscal year 25 and above the fiscal year 24 numbers. Fixed route passenger fares are above last year and are 3% above budget. We continue to see an increase in tap card usage, and in particular, the Life program and student pass usage. Dial-lift fares are above last year and are just 10% above budget. The Aqua service is above last year, but they're slightly below budget this year. Special events have been a bright spot thanks to the Galaxy Express, the shuttle service to the stadium. Advertising revenues have been down this fiscal year as LBT transitioned to a new advertising contractor. So overall, total operating revenue is above last year and also above budget. The middle of our page gives us the subsidy revenues, and this is our largest revenue source. In light of the uncertainty at the federal level this year, the CEO and I made the strategic decision to accelerate LBT's use of federal funds to mitigate any future potential impacts. Strategically, we chose to draw the funding down this fiscal year to offset current operational expenses. It's not an increase in revenue, it's a timing decision. In terms of local subsidies, we're seeing that sales tax revenue locally has been running below the fiscal year 25 revenue projections and are at 93% of budget year to date. Overall, operating expenses are aligned at 100% of the budget. We can go to, oh, sorry, I went too quick there, Jen. And we can go to the next page for the detail. Okay, thanks, Jen. So labor is our largest area of investment. Operator labor finished this year at 98% of budget, reflecting efficient staffing. Maintenance labor slightly exceeded the budget due to overtime coverage during mechanic training periods. Workers' compensation is an area of concern. This is categorized under fringe benefits, and it's allocated across all departments for operations, maintenance, and administration. As part of our annual process, a workers' compensation actuarial review is completed. This year, it resulted in a significant increase to LBT's workers' compensation liabilities. This reflects an increase in both expenses and in required reserves. Under services for contract maintenance, the month of June included repairs to the underground storage tanks at LBT1, the annual service for the emergency generator at LBT1, and service to the elevator at LBT2. Fleet parts and supplies expenses finished the year at 107% of budget. This overage reflects a combination of inflationary pressures and operational realities. Parts price inflation has been a persistent challenge on frequently issued parts. Despite exceeding the budget line, the spend was well managed operationally. Direct charges and consumables remained within a controlled range, and LBT minimized service disruptions despite aging fleet components and inflation. Under miscellaneous expenses is schedules and tickets. This line item overage was a result of the production of high volume printed materials, including seasonal route maps aligned with the summer service adjustments, printing of signage related to special events and public engagements, and fare box cards for day passes, 5-day passes, and one ride tickets. Assets are what LBT owns and controls. Total assets increased slightly from the previous year. Cash and investments were down from May, but up from a year ago. And the reason for that is we see when we look at receivables outstanding are just over $12 million. These are expected payments from the federal, state, local, and county government. Federal receivables declined during the period, indicating timely reimbursement and improving cash flow. State and local receivables increased during the period. Liabilities are what LBT owes and has set aside. Trade payables highlighted here of $5.3 million reflects the accruals LBT staff made for outstanding vendor invoices. These are up from May, but down from last June, indicating healthy payment cycles. Payroll liabilities of $8.2 million are consistent with staffing levels and benefit accruals. Overall, LBT remains financially stable with well-managed liquidity and liabilities. Asset depreciation and pension liabilities are being tracked and managed responsibly. Strategic use of federal funds has strengthened LBT's cash flow. No red flags have been identified in vendor payables, payroll, or other liabilities. Overall, LBT remains in a strong position to support operational continuity and capital planning as we move into fiscal year 26. Thank you.
Lisa, are there any public comments? Seeing none, is there any discussion from the board? Yes, Director Angeles?
Lisa, in terms of that work comp number, that almost doubled with respect to it. Now, usually workers' comp injuries and claims usually associated with safety practices. What's the, what's being done as it relates to identifying that and as well as addressing it to ensure the fact that, there's something happening that is not systemic?
Thank you. So yes, LBT employees take safety very important. What the actuary identified was that older cases, there was needed the reserves increased, one because medical expenses are increasing, as we know. And so there's an opportunity to close out some of these cases that are over a year old. So that's where increasing the reserves to pay those off. But in terms of safety is our employees' top priority. And it's something we're going to look very hard at in the upcoming months.
Any additional discussion? Oh, yes.
So Lisa, you kind of highlighted the advertising revenue and you said there's been a transition. I don't know who manages that contract, but just anecdotally, I'm seeing a lot of buses with the boards not sold. You see, just the ad for the company. So can you tell us a little bit more about what's going on and should we expect that to improve or?
Sure. So we transitioned advertisers in January with the knowledge that the first 6 months there was going to be a transition period. So the company that we stopped advertising with stopped selling advertising, as you might imagine, once they found out they weren't going to get the contract. So there weren't any new ads coming in. And so a minimum annual guarantee kicks in July, which the current month. So we are starting to see things pick up, but the first 6 months we knew there was going to be a transition.
Any additional discussion? All right, thank you so much. So now Pretty George will present agenda item number 9.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair Mejia, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and all who are assembled here. My name is Pretty George and I serve as the Executive Director, Vice President of Information Technology at Long Beach Transit. Today I'm requesting your approval to enter into a contract with Dell Technologies to renew the Microsoft Enterprise Software Licensing Agreement. In December 2020, excuse me, the board 2022, the board approved the Microsoft licensing contract with Dell Technologies. Microsoft software is foundational to LBT's operations, supporting email, file sharing, security, collaboration, and compliance with industry standards. The software ensures employees have access to the latest technological tools, enabling them to work efficiently. This renewal will enable us to introduce advanced technologies such as Microsoft Copilot and Teams Premium, which will streamline workflows, enhance collaboration across the organization, and to ensure the security behind this, the IT team has taken measures to ensure testing prior to deployment. As LBT continues its digital transformation and advances our strategic initiatives, this contract supports our modernization efforts. LBT's procurement department leveraged the County of Riverside Cooperative Purchase Agreement, which provided a competitive, pre-negotiated price, a streamlined and compliant procurement process, and cost savings over direct purchasing. A small business enterprise goal was not applied due to the proprietary nature of Microsoft's enterprise software licensing agreement. Staff is requesting the LBT's board of directors to authorize the president and CEO to enter into a 3-year contract with Dell Technologies for the Microsoft enterprise software agreement at an annual cost of $364,325 with a total contract authorization amount of $1,092,975 with a 5% contingency of $54,649 for a total authorization amount not to exceed $1,147,624. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Right. Thank you. And is there any public comment? Okay. Discussion from the board.
Chair, I just have two quick questions for Pretty. Thanks, Pretty. Thank you for putting the reason for not being able to subcontract. It's helpful to know. And also, maybe it's my reading of the sentence. Maybe you want to tighten it, maybe you don't. I'll leave that up to you and Ken. But in the staff recommendation, the part beginning with a total contract authorization amount of $1,092,975, that's for 3 years, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. When I read it, it doesn't seem like it's a 3-year, but maybe I'm reading it in a different way. But okay, thank you.
Director Rawlings.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. I know we're still pretty early on in this transition, but can you help elucidate for the board some of the first ways we'll see this technology get used within the
Absolutely.
organization?
Absolutely, sure. So I think one of the biggest things that we want to be doing for the organization now, as we bring in Copilot, because we are an enterprise ecosystem of Microsoft, this allows our team to actually use one system to be able to find documents specifically. We want to make the process quicker and easier for our teams. Right now, we have multiple SharePoint sites. This allows us to build agents to be able to do that for them. The other process here that we're bringing on Teams Premium is the AI note-taking process. We want to be able to enable our teams to work smarter, not harder. And that's the goal here. So you'll see these steps integrated into our organization, and really bringing all of that into one umbrella really allows us to do that.
And in doing so, I know a lot of times these big transitions, especially when you're talking about artificial intelligence, can it brings up some fears around automation, right? And what staffing changes could look like. Have you identified some teammates or small groups that you're kind of phased rollout with, or what's it going to look like to make sure people understand what the real world?
Absolutely. Training is
implications are?
going, yeah, the training is going to be provided, and we're going to have cohorts to help us through this process. We have a great community within LBT. We have our innovators within our group, and we want to bring those team members together to see how do we innovate better with these types of technology. So we try to pick from each group within the organization.
Very much. My last question is just when does this process start? Like how soon can teammates get their hands on some of this?
So the first part would be Teams Premium because we only go live with September once we sign the contract. And after that, Copilot will be slowly after security protocols are put into place.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any additional discussion from the board? All right, call for a vote.
Chair Mejia.
Aye.
Vice Chair Sun. Secretary Treasurer Yorbe.
Aye.
Director Almeida.
Yes.
Director Angeles.
Aye.
Director Kemp.
Aye.
Director Rawlings.
Aye.
Director Sutton has been excused.
Great, thank you. The recommendation to authorize President and CEO to enter into a 3-year contract with Dell Technologies for the Microsoft Enterprise Software Licensing Agreement at the annual cost of $364,325 with a total contract authorization amount of $1,092,975 with a 5% contingency of $54,649 for the total authorization not to exceed $1,147,624 is approved. Thank you so much, Preeti. And now Jennifer Maxwell will present agenda item 10.
Good afternoon. Chair Mejia, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and to all who are assembled here today, I am Jennifer Maxwell, manager of the capital program. I'm here before you today to request the board to adopt a resolution to authorize the president and CEO to file the annual application for subsidies under the State Transit Assistance Programs, also known as STA, and California Senate Bill 1, also known as SB1 STA, and Article 4 of the Transportation Development Act, also known as TDA, for the fiscal year 2026. LBT is eligible to receive $39.82 million for FY 2026. The FY 2026 allocation of TDA, STA, and SB1 funding will support daily operation and capital needs. The funds were included in LBT's recently approved fiscal year 2026 budget. For background, TDA funds are derived from a 1/4-cent statewide retail sales tax. STA funds are derived from a statewide sales tax on diesel fuel, and SB1 funds are derived from an excise tax on gasoline. The funds are apportioned to each county based on the amount of tax collected, and in LA County, it is distributed based on the established formula allocation procedure. The $39.82 million consists of $27.69 million in TDA Article 4 funds, $6.92 million in STA funds, and $5.21 million in SB1 funds. LBT will be utilizing a portion of these funds for capital projects, including bus fleet replacement and bus fleet rehabilitation. Annually, LBT is required to comply with various certifications and assurances to be eligible to receive these funds. This includes filing financial and operating reports with the State Controller's Office, certification with the California Highway Patrol, meeting STA efficiency standards and reduced transit fares ID requirements, and finally, submittal of a certified fiscal and compliance audit. The certified fiscal and compliance audit is included in LBT's annual single audit report and presented to the board each January. Today, staff is requesting the board of directors to adopt a resolution authorizing the president and CEO to file funding applications for fiscal year 2026 subsidies under the State Transit Assistance Program and Article 4 of the Transportation Development Act in the amount of $39.82 million. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Right, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there any discussion from the board? Director Norvin?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jennifer. One question and then 2 points of clarification on the resolution itself. If LBT were to experience any delays or shortfalls in any of these funds, do we have a contingency plan? Or is that not an issue?
It's not an issue.
Okay, all right. And then the resolution itself, again, maybe it's just me reading the sentences. Maybe you can work with Ken, but on the second whereas, after the and, may require the applicant to abide by standards of assurances now. There's no period. So is it abide by standards of assurances now in effect? Or is it standards of assurances now required by law? In effect? Okay. Okay. All right. That just caught my attention. So, and then on the therefore paragraph number 2, that the president and CEO is authorized to file with the TDA claim. I think we need to remove the with. So to file the TDA claim and standard assurances for the applicants, or file the TDA claim, including standard assurances for applicants for LTF and STAF. However you guys want to word it, but I think the with is what bothers me. So
Thank you, Director.
they're just suggestions. Thank you.
Any additional discussion from the board? Director
If,
Angela?
if we're gonna take the suggestions, then we have to amend the resolution. Right.
The first one is a clarification because the standard assurances we sign every year with FDA. So it's just to say that it's now in effect. 'Cause I think that's what the now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the language of the resolution. Do you want it to change it or not change it? Because I already made the motion, so I'd have to amend it.
Well, only thing we would amend would be the signing off of the resolution that we're sending that clarifies the in effect. That's the first one. Then I haven't found the with yet, so or with the TDO. Names and stuff. Okay, I find it. I don't know that we have to change it. It's just the language. Yeah, I think it's the same.
Yeah,
It doesn't change the intent of what we're saying.
it's a clerical administrative, it's not non-substantive, so you needn't change it on the doc.
Okay. Are we good? Anything else? Discussion from the board? All right. Call for a vote.
Chair Mejia,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sun, Secretary Treasurer Yorbe,
Aye.
Director Almeida,
Aye.
Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp,
Aye.
Director Rawlings,
Aye.
Director Sutton has been excused.
Great. The motion carries the recommendation to adopt a resolution authorizing the president and CEO to file binding application for fiscal year 2026 subsidies under Article 4 of the Transportation Development Act and the State Transportation Assistance Program in the amount of $39,824,270 is approved. And now Billy Anderson will present agenda item 11.
Good afternoon, Chair Mejia, members of the board, Mr. McDonald, and all who are assembled here today. I am Billy Anderson. I'm the manager of the System Security Department here at Long Beach Transit. I'm before you today to provide an informational update on the System Security Department, as well as statistical data on crimes and disturbances on board our system. Here's an overview of what I will walk through today. I will start with a brief background and introduction to my department and its structure. I'll discuss the Transit Ambassador Program, the Long Beach Police Department Transit Enforcement Detail, the facility security officers at LBT1, LBT2, and LBTCO, current statistical data, and I'll conclude with an overview of an upcoming CSA pilot program. The System Security Department falls under the Transit Services Delivery, TSD department here at LBT, and I report directly to Lee Brenner. My department consists of managing contracted services between the Long Beach Police Department that forms the Long Beach Transit Enforcement Detail, and this consists of 1 shared lieutenant with LBCC, 1 sergeant, 6 sworn police officers for a total of 8 police officers. as well as contract security services to Allied Universal, also known as AUS, that provides security personnel for the Transit Ambassador Program, which consists of 1 supervisor, 1 lead, and 11 transit ambassadors for a total of 13 transit ambassadors, as well as 2 supervisors, 18 security officers for a total of 20 security officers split between LBT 1, 2, and CO. On July 24th, 2017, the LBT Board of Directors approved the launch of a 1-year pilot of the LBT Transit Ambassador Program. This program aimed to promote positive customer behavior and provide timely responses to service-related challenges. In September of 2018, the LBT Board of Directors approved the continuation and expansion of the Transit Ambassador Program to further support LBT's strategic priorities of improving safety and service quality and enhancing the customer experience. Transit ambassadors are highly trained contract security personnel who specialize in safety, customer service, de-escalation techniques, and possess in-depth knowledge of the LBT system. They are licensed by the state of California Bureau of Security and Investigative Services and certified to carry handcuffs, collapsible baton, and pepper spray. The primary responsibility of transit ambassadors is to enhance the customer experience by providing a visible security presence on board our buses. Their duties include participation in proactive transit enforcement efforts, such as intermodal prevention and response, also known as Viper operations, joint bus boardings with the Long Beach Police Department Transit Enforcement Detail, and collaborative walk and talk engagements of the Downtown Transit Gallery. By the end of fiscal year 2025, transit ambassadors provided a presence on approximately 22,248 buses and assisted over 110,000 customers. Additionally, the transit ambassadors work in close coordination with the City of Long Beach Homeless Services team to connect unhoused individuals located at LBT's bus stops and shelters with supportive services and resources provided by the city. LBT has had a strong partnership with the LBPD for over 30 years. Through the establishment of the Transit Enforcement Detail, also known as TED, LBPD has consistently provided dedicated policing services to support safety of our operations and its customers. The TED officers perform regular patrols across all LBT facilities and buses to improve service, deter criminal activity, and promote a safe and secure environment for our customers. Their efforts include proactive engagement and rapid response to incidents affecting the transit system, and their responsibilities include bus boardings, in which TED officers board buses in response to staff, operator, or customer complaints at designated bus stops to increase their presence and to also deter disruptive behavior. Downtown Transit Gallery walks and talks, officers conduct daily outreach efforts by greeting customers and inspecting shelters to ensure clear access to boarding. Each TED vehicle is equipped with a duffel bag that contains gently used clothing items, such as pants, shirts, and shoes, which officers use to distribute to unhoused individuals who may wish to use LBT services but lack the appropriate attire. By the end of fiscal year 25, TED officers completed 2,060 bus boardings and walk and talks, and responded to 12,820 transit-related calls or services, which both exceeded the department's key performance indicators. Facility security officers are contracted through AUS, and they provide a safe, secure, and orderly environment at LBT 1, 2, and LBTCO. Their comprehensive training and strategic vigilance reinforce both safety and security and customer service standards. The facility security officers are trained on customer service, first aid and CPR, and effective security patrol techniques. Their key responsibilities are to provide excellent customer service by assisting employees and visitors with safety and security concerns and providing directions, conducting bus inspections that pulls into LBT 1 and 2 to ensure no unauthorized persons enter or any unauthorized items are brought into the facility. They also provide access control by monitoring all entry and exit points, ensuring authorized individuals access the facilities, as well as monitoring security cameras and conducting routine patrols. Reported crimes and disturbances across the LBT system are monitored and tracked through an internal database, which align with our fiscal year from July to June. Incidents are logged when bus operators report onboard or bus-operated issues to LBT Communication Center. Annual reported incidents are as follows. For FY24, there were 116 crimes reported and 719 disturbances reported. For FY25, there were 94 crimes reported and 637 disturbances reported. This downward trend and continued effectiveness of coordination safety efforts between the LBPD Transit Enforcement Detail transit ambassadors, and TSC supervisors. Additional contributing factors also include ongoing de-escalation training for our bus operators, equipping TSD management, supervisors, and designated personnel with access to live bus camera feeds to support real-time incident response and law enforcement investigations. As a result of these joint initiatives, LBT saw a year-over-year decrease from FY24 to FY25. There was an 18.9% reduction in crimes with a 11.4 reduction in disturbances. LBT System Security Department is launching a one-year pilot in partnership with eAlerts, leveraging the CSA incident reporting platform. This initiative will offer customers a comprehensive and discreet way to report safety and security and service concerns in real time. Customers will be able to submit reports through multiple convenient options, through the CSA app, through the web form, text to tip, voicemail, or email. And reports submitted through the CSA app have the option to be done anonymously and discreetly, ensuring user safety without compromising the reporting ability. Reports may include, but are not limited to, situations such as crimes in progress, panhandling, harassment or threats, vandalisms, or any other safety or security issue occurring on LBT's buses. Any report submitted into the eAlert CSA Council will be monitored by the TSD Communication Center and the System Security Department. Dispatchers will have the ability to chat in real time, enabling two-way communication with a reporting customer for follow-up and/or reassurance. Teams can also coordinate a swift response by ensuring customers that help is on the way and also keep customers informed. This enhanced reporting system is scheduled to begin in the first quarter of FY26. In closing, the System Security Department remains dedicated to advancing LBT's mission of connecting communities and moving people to make everyday life better, which reflects our commitment to providing safe, reliable, and customer-focused service. We remain committed to upholding LBT's mission. Recent survey results show that overall, 91% of our customers feel extremely or somewhat safe. Among those who have not witnessed or experienced a harassing incident, that number rises to 98%. I'd like to extend my sincerest gratitude to our transit ambassadors, whose consistent presence reinforce safety across our system. I'd also like to extend a big thank you to the LBPD officers for their unwavering dedication in supporting LBT's strategic priorities of improving safety and service quality and ensuring a dependable and safe operation. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Billy. Are there any public comments? Seeing none. All right, is there any discussion from the board? Director Kim? It's a report.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, strong report, Director Anderson. I appreciate that. Amazing numbers in the 90s on those categories. I think are reflective of the great job you and your team are doing, and obviously Ken's leadership. Did I hear you correctly that when our folks encounter people who are experiencing homelessness, we provide them with clothing that makes it possible for them to ride our buses?
Yes, that is correct. And this is done through efforts through our transit enforcement detail officers, myself, and also our EVP. It's stuff that we have at home that we bring in that we fill duffel bags with. So let's say there's a disturbance because someone doesn't have a shirt or pants or shoes. That's a duffel bag within every police vehicle that we provide them. If a shirt would get the customer to their destination, then we would provide it to them. And that's all items that we donate, and that's not given to transit, but it's all through donations to the police officers and my department.
Is that common industry practice? Do you know of other transit agencies that do that?
I do not
know. If it please, the chair, Mr. McDonald, that's a fantastic story and one worth telling. These are the kind of good news stories that, are useful anytime, but especially given our earlier discussion, these opportunities to highlight the efforts of our caring staff members, especially if nobody else is doing it, are opportunities that we should seize upon. Thank you again for that strong report.
Any other discussion? Director Norvith?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the report. Couple of comments and then just a quick question. First of all, I like that the report is data driven It really helps. I also like the e-alert CSA pilot program that's coming up. It's innovative, creative, and it also helps riders engage in their own, participate in their own safety, as well as others. Um, I hope that you'll come back after the first quarter of FY 2026 to report how that's going. And my question is, oh, Ted, how often do they board buses? Because I ride the bus a lot. I have never seen a TED officer.
Well, our bus boardings are conducted weekly. And it's based off of customer complaints, operator complaints, and staff complaints. So there's nothing going on board that route. We typically show presence on those that have high ridership and that we have complaints on.
Yeah, because I see the ambassadors frequently, but I don't see the TED officers. But that makes sense. Thank you.
I would add one thing, said in a quarter, if you can take 6 months in the middle of the thing and come back and then report on it, because that's the intent we had in a 6 month. You should be able to look at, track it each month and then 6 months where we are to work with the vendor. So like if we come back in months, just say, here's where the day is at.
Any other Director Angelos?
I just want to thank you and your staff and everybody that works in security. We all know that in terms of transit, if the passengers don't feel safe and secure in riding our vehicles and buses and, our transport, then it does impact the entire operation of the thing. So the fact that you guys are doing such excellent work and has that presence in the community, I think is indicative of the community feeling safe and riding our buses. I just wanted to publicly thank you.
Any additional discussion? I just want to say fantastic presentation. It's amazing. I think as I'm reflecting about our trip to APTA, I think one of the things was security, right? And Lee reminded us that we were the first transit agency for the ambassador program. So that's huge. And we've been able to keep a successful model. And so thank you so much for all the work that you do and our staff. With that, that's it. Thank you so much. All right. All right, public comment. Is there any public comment that we see? All right. And now, are there any board requests? Any board requests? Yes, Director Amado.
Yeah, so first wanted to thank both the chair, Chair Mejia, and our CEO for taking so many community meetings on the issue that we discussed. I know that you guys got out there quite a bit. I heard about those conversations, especially the one with the mayor. My board request is the exploration of the neighbor-to-neighbor investment. Is that something that the CEO is looking at, or is that something we can ask for a report back on at our next meeting? And supporting the city's efforts for the neighbor-to-neighbor program for those impacted, is that something that transit staff are looking at? If not, can we report back on that in September as well? We'll talk about this other item that Director Camp mentioned.
When we met with the mayor, we agreed that we would be there on Monday, the event, and then decide how we support with myself and the chair. I will be there on.
Yeah, and so for those that don't know, Monday there's gonna be a big know your rights for small businesses. So we'll be participating there. We'll have a table. So that was one of the actions, but I agree. I mean, that's something that we can add and explore and see how we can support. Any additional board requests? Oh, Director
Chair,
Norman.
yeah, thank you, Chair. Ken, I'm gonna formally request just some updates and if available, brief and after photos of some board approved projects. From July 2022 meeting, one from January 2023 meeting, and the third from September 2023. Because the amounts were very large, I believe we were told that we would get updates and or photos, before after photos. One is regarding the automatic passenger counters. The other one is exterior lighting at LBT 1, LBT 2, and then the guardhouse replacement. So I have a list here. I can formally give you the list or to Jen, and then if you can, you and your staff.
Right, the God shack is completed. It's just there today, and then the lighting and the shacks were done at the same time, so I know that those are both. Like, the third one but I'll give a report on it.
Okay, and can we get photos for the other two that are completed? Because specifically remember asking, I forgot the Jen, he's not here, but.
Yeah, he's out there right now with the.
Okay.
Bus, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we.
thank you. One
Can.
passes to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any additional board requests? All right. Do I hear a motion? Next item is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
For a second?
Second.
All right, call for a vote.
Chair Mejia,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sun, Secretary Treasurer Yorbe,
Aye.
Director Almeida, Director Angeles,
Aye.
Director Kemp,
Aye.
Director Rawlings.
Aye.
Director Sun has been excused.
Great. The motion carries. The meeting is now adjourned. The next regular meeting will be held September 25th, 2025. Thank you, everybody.
So I would like to at some point